By the time the drug makes it to you, it has a history and it's almost got a personality that comes with it of what it's been through to get to that point.
You are about to receive a phone call from the correctional facility.
Hi Dad, hi.
I would go to Bunnings and I would get all the things that was needed to make the drug.
So if I wanted to buy a 1 kilo sample, how would you send that?
Please do not worry about this. We can ensure your safety.
That pill that you use in the weekend, it has drug-related crime. The killings, the violence, but also the pollution problem.
This is the secret entrance. This was covered. They earned here €500,000 a day.
Australians do have lots of money and no problem paying the price. Made me rich.
Everyone has come here for one idea, that we're gonna dance. They know everyone's on drugs.
Exactly.
We're camped next to some 18-year-olds that are like, surely just really excited about taking drugs. What can we take? What are we on your last trip? How much did you take?
Australians love party drugs, especially MDMA. Individually, we're the biggest consumers of ecstasy in the world.
Obviously, in these sort of events, people take what they like to take.
It's a place where you can go and expect for everyone to be totally different to how they normally are. And I don't know, just to get a little bit weird.
Over the last year or so, we've heard quite a bit about festival deaths, a lot about pill testing, and we've been told that the state and federal governments have a zero-tolerance approach to drugs. But what we don't hear about is where in the world is all this MDMA coming from? And who are the people involved? Well, the feed is going on a journey to find out.
Yep, here we go.
You are about to receive a phone call from the correctional facility. The conversation will be recorded and may be monitored.
Hello.
Hi Dad, hi.
I'm good, yeah, how are you?
Yeah, alright, thanks, good.
How old would he have been in this photo?
That's like last year. That's fairly recent.
He looks, to me, he looks young in this photo. Like he looks like I don't know, he looks young.
Well, that was just a few weeks before he was sentenced. It was our 25th wedding anniversary. We were actually on holiday in France. And then we got this phone call in the middle of the night from his girlfriend saying, oh, Andrew's been arrested for drugs. And at first we kind of thought, oh, shit, sniffer dogs have picked him up with something. And then his girlfriend said no, said he's been arrested on these really serious charges and it's all over the TV and the newspapers.
Michael's 19-year-old son, Andrew, had been arrested and charged for his role in a syndicate that was dealing party drugs in Sydney's inner west.
As far as we know, he just knew people and he was hanging around with people and they obviously knew other people who could access large amounts of drugs. He looked up to these older guys who he very much saw as being, these are the hard guys, it's the kind of people he wanted to be like. I think the first time we saw him, I don't think we got a chance to speak on the phone to him. We actually went into Parkley Prison, which is a horrible place. The first thing he said was, I'm really sorry to put you through this. Sorry. It was just humiliating.
I'll see you tomorrow in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much happened today. Just hit some police outside.
In January this year, Andrew was convicted of supplying prohibited drugs, including 144 grams of MDMA. He was sentenced to 7 years, 4 without parole.
Left his stuff behind. I mean, this is his bike he had as a teenager. I don't think he's going to be using it when he comes out of prison at the age of 23, but...
Andrew had no prior convictions and had been on bail in a strict rehab program for a year.
The word we heard throughout the sentencing was deterrence. We need to have a deterrence factor in this. Does it work? Well, we still see people going into festivals, taking drugs, supplying drugs. I'm not a pro-drugs person. I don't believe in legalisation of cannabis even, or certainly not legal supply of it. But we all seem to be in denial about this.
Where do you think your son sits in terms of the global MDMA drug supply chain?
I think our son's very much at the bottom of the supply chain. He was acting, guess, as kind of like the mule, the carrier. He was kind of the delivery boy.
All I was focusing on while I was in that world was how much money I could make and what kind of lifestyle I wanted to build for myself. I liked the money, the drugs, the girls and the party.
It's early evening and I'm sitting in a car watching a parcel that's just been delivered with a guy who was several steps up from just being a delivery boy.
What was in the packages?
So generally the packages could have been like any of the glassware that would be used in the labs or any equipment that we needed for any of that type of stuff that was on a watch list. So because it's on a watch list, then we've got to be mindful of undercover cops and detectives and private investigators and nosy neighbours and people like that.
So it's basically counter surveillance.
Counter surveillance is exactly what it was.
So this is where you do your life coaching.
Yeah, this is the space.
Right, it's got a very nice feel to it.
These days, Scott Franklin is leading a pretty quiet life in suburban Sydney. But he's previously spent time in jail for his role in a multi-million-dollar syndicate that locally produced and sold party drugs.
What was your role and how close were you to the boss?
My job and role was to help him with all the things that weren't illegal. I would go to Bunnings and I would get all the caustic soda or some kind of things that was needed to make the drug. I might spend a whole day driving around to all the different Bunningses getting just caustic soda. On another day I might have to go to a dodgy phone shop and buy 10 phones with fake SIM cards in it to set them up for all the people that he had working for him. Another day I might have to go and get a rental property that he wanted to set a drug lab up in.
What did your syndicate's labs look like?
You just need something that would have 2, 3 or 4 big rooms in there because each room of the house would be used for a certain thing. There's a room for the cooking, there's a room for cooling, and then there's a room for like just materials and preparation.
The syndicate had 2 drug cooks who used an ever-evolving set of recipes to make their products, using precursor chemicals sourced from China.
China would offer to package it up with different labelling so that when it come through customs, they'd have a different name on it. The other thing is that if it got caught, they would send more.
But this was no super lab setup. And even though they sold the pills as ecstasy, some didn't have any MDMA in them at all.
He was open to putting in rat poison, heroin, anything that was going to sell. He just didn't seem to care about it. He was quite cold in that sense.
What do you think people need to keep in mind when they're taking their party drugs?
They're not using pharmaceutical grade equipment and products to make it. So you could get a pill or a cap with a chunk of pure in it, which could be like having 3 at once, or you might get a pill or a cap which is like having nothing.
Scott isn't exactly sure what chemicals his boss was buying from China. But a little online research shows that Chinese chemical companies are more than willing to sell precursor ingredients to would-be drug cooks. We reached out to one of the sellers.
The product you acquired is one of the main products in our company we sell.
We've decided to see just how easy it is to buy a chemical that basically underpins the entire global MDMA industry, PMK glycidate.
We handled these products many times. Please do not worry. We are very familiar of how to handle the products to ensure you receive.
PMK glycidate has just been banned by the UN. This means global governments will soon follow suit. And while it's currently not illegal to import it into Australia, buying it can raise red flags with customs and police. But the sellers have ways to avoid detection.
So if I wanted to buy a 1 kilo sample, how would you send that?
We will change name because many customers said if with the original name, it is hard for them to do customs clearance.
What if we want to buy a large amount?
We are hide the products in the container and with other products to ship together. Can you understand?
Another chemical seller tells me they can even bypass customs altogether.
我们澳大利亚有专线，就是说一个包裹通过专线走，就是不用你们清关，就是很容易过关，通关率特别高。
The seller tells me their biggest customers are actually Europeans.
我们荷兰、波兰那边
这个客户比较多。
While police say local clandestine MDMA labs are on the increase, a lot of our party drugs still come from overseas. And if you go on the dark web looking to buy ecstasy or MDMA, one country's product seems particularly popular: the Netherlands. I reached out to a few dark web dealers to find out why this is.
Holland sells the cheapest MDMA in the world compared to other countries. Holland also produces the best quality MDMA in the world.
The recipe is passed on in crime families.
There are professional chemists earning $50,000 in 2 weeks to produce.
So the Netherlands is where we're headed next. While I keep looking into the local market, my colleague Claire is about to head to Amsterdam. And if this ad is anything to go by, she's got an interesting trip ahead.
This is basically a perfume called Ecstasy, which smells like a drug lab.
Oh my God.
Police in the Netherlands have made this perfume to let the public know what a drug lab smells like, so that then they can identify one if they smell it, I guess if they walk past one.
So there must be such a huge problem that they're actually bothering to do this.
Yeah. So I think when you're there, like, you need to find out how much MDMA is being made in the Netherlands and why.
Yeah. Wonder how easy that's going to be.
It's 2 a.m. and Claire has jetted straight into the Amsterdam nightlife scene. There are no lockout laws here. There are no sniffer dogs or police. Just lots of people having a good time, some with a little chemical help.
What did you take today?
I took ecstasy, alcohol, and cigarettes.
Here you can always use drugs because everybody uses it. The police is not really check it really good.
Things in the Netherlands are a little different. Unlike in Australia, drug use isn't illegal, and you're allowed to possess small amounts of soft substances like weed. You can even buy it in coffee shops. The country's approach to drugs has led to some things that really would never be seen back home.
Dit is onze ecstasy.
This YouTube program, Drugs Lab, is funded by the Dutch government and one of its national public broadcasters. In each episode, one of the hosts tries a popular drug or talks about drug-related topics. That's right, they consume illegal drugs on camera, and the government supports this.
So this is our lab.
This is where the magic happens.
This is where the magic happens. My name is Nelly Benner. I'm one of the presenters of Drugs Lab. I'm presenting, I talk about drugs, and I also take the drugs.
Laat altijd je MDMA testen, zodat je weet hoe zuiver je MDMA is, want dan pas kan je goed doseren.
Oh. It's a show about harm reduction, drugs education, where we try drugs and tell you everything about the history of a drug, how it's made, what it feels like, the risks, the dangers. Er is nog weinig bekend over MXC, maar wil jij het nou toch gebruiken, let dan vooral hierop. De do's. Laat je MXC altijd testen. Zorg dat er altijd een tripsitter in de buurt is. Neem het op een veilige plek met mensen die je kent en die je vertrouwt.
Nelly is quick to point out that MDMA is still considered a hard drug in the Netherlands, and possessing, dealing or producing it is illegal. But consuming it isn't.
It's legal to take it because if something happens, for example on a festival, and you don't feel well, you can go to the hospital and they want you to speak honestly about what did you try, how do you feel. You have to know that, and you don't have to be afraid that you're going to prison or whatever. So they see in the Netherlands, if you're taking drugs, you're a patient and not a criminal.
Toen ik thuis kwam, toen merkte ik wel dat mijn gelukshormoontjes echt wel opwaarden, want toen werd ik ook een beetje somber en ging ik echt aan stomme dingen denken.
I think it's really good that we are talking about it, because the whispering and the secretly taking drugs, that's a danger, the lack of knowledge.
But the Netherlands' tolerance around drugs is in part responsible for, well, this. This skit shows a typical family business that's been passed down through the generations. No, it's not a restaurant or a bakery. It's a synthetic drug lab.
Jij brandt ecstasy. Geniet, maar drink genoeg water.
It is the inconvenient truth that we are called by others as a narco-state.
While Australians are the world's biggest individual consumers of ecstasy, the Netherlands is the world's biggest producer. They make around 80% of the world's synthetic drugs, and a lot of that comes from here, in the country's south.
It is not a secret that we as producers, we're one of the suppliers of the ecstasy that is distributed in Australia.
The Dutch synthetic drugs industry is worth an estimated 19 billion euros annually, and crime gangs are taking advantage of some of the best things about the Netherlands.
We are the port, we are the gateway to Europe. Our legislative system, we have a relatively low sentencing, and it's because of our liberal stance.
What would you say to young Australians who are taking MDMA or ecstasy?
That pill that you use in the weekend, it has drug-related crime, the killings, the violence, but also the pollution problem. That pill that you use in the weekend causes a lot of environmental issues back in Holland and in Europe. So just be aware of the consequences.
When you're high on MDMA, this is probably the last thing you're thinking about. But each year, Dutch authorities clean up over 100 tonnes of chemical waste that's been dumped in woods or poured down drains into waterways. It's a problem that Jan Boelhouwer is well aware of. He's the mayor of Gilze en Rijn. It's a place that looks pretty quaint to the outsider, but has a major drug crime problem.
It is the mafia. It is really the mafia. They're involved in human trafficking, in women trafficking, all different kinds of things to earn money. This is the drug lab that we closed down, and where all the money, all the criminal money was earned.
Mayor Jan Boelhouwer has been on a mission to shut down drug labs in his area. Every time they raid a lab, they put up a huge sign like this.
The sign indicates that drugs are involved here, and it also shows that we're after them. I designed it.
For years, this place operated as a kind of mechanics workshop. If you walked past, you probably wouldn't have noticed anything unusual. The inside space also looked pretty normal to the customers getting their cars fixed here. But there's something that lingers that would have raised red flags.
God, the first thing that just hits you when you walk in is that smell.
Yes, that's typical for the chemical production of synthetic drugs.
Yeah, it hits you.
It hits you.
And what's this?
This is the secret entrance.
Yeah.
This was covered, and when you took the stuff away, you looked inside and you saw a huge water basin. And you needed a remote control, and that went aside. A staircase came up, and then you could enter the secret lab.
And people were working underground?
Yes, 24 hours a day.
This footage shows inside the basement drug lab.
And they earned here €500,000 a day.
€500,000 worth of pills being produced from here?
Yes. Also due to the price people want to pay in Australia.
There are people living all around here.
Yes.
How did they not know, or did they not want to know?
They knew, but they were too afraid to tell. These people have a reputation. They don't hesitate to use violence, and when you come into their world, when you are a danger for their money, they go after you.
Mayor Boelhouwer says shutting down the drug labs has also made him a target.
Criminals rented somebody to set my house on fire. I was attacked on the street, physically attacked on the street. Colleagues are threatened with their children or with their car set on fire. Their house set on fire. There's no fuss at all of all these huge parties every night where people taking pills have huge pupils that's the attitude. It's fun and they are having their funny life. It's totally accepted. And that is, in my opinion, totally unacceptable.
Like in Australia, drug dealing here is increasingly online. Buying MDMA is as easy as sending a message on WhatsApp.
What's the largest quantity of MDMA that you could deliver this afternoon?
Whatever you want.
And delivering overseas to the world's most MDMA-hungry customers is apparently not a problem.
I'm going back to Australia soon. Can you guys post there or know anyone who can?
Yeah, but the details about that will be discussed later.
Back in Australia, the latest wastewater analysis shows that our MDMA use is increasing. The online dealers tell me business is good.
Australians do have lots of money and no problem paying the price. Made me rich. There is a big demand and it's only rising.
On this journey, we've been told it's easy. Easy to buy the chemicals, easy to make the drugs, sell the drugs, and there's always someone willing to buy them. Australia spends over $1 billion each year fighting drug crime and addiction. But this is a complex global problem.
The problem is that it can't be solved with one thing. You should never forget, the criminals are organized and we aren't.
The boss was a mad researcher. He was always on his computer researching different ways of trying to find to do it. People in the drug world are always looking for more efficient, safer for them not to get caught ways of producing the same thing.
I was going to say, I'll send you another letter tomorrow on Monday.
We have so many young people who are using drugs, taking drugs, and in my son's case, dealing drugs. We need to look at what actually stops people from being harmed by drugs. And while there's a demand for drugs, though, people like my son will think, okay, here's an opportunity to make some money quickly.